Hi, what's up, guys? We are Tottenham TV here. Welcome to another episode of the We Are Tottenham TV podcast. It gives me great pleasure today to have on the podcast Footy with Dad. We have Julian and we have Jake. Nice to have you on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, cheers. Now, your channel, I guess, isn't like many other channels. Do you want to just kind of briefly take us through how things began with Footy with Dad?
Yeah, no, sure. Jake was born 13 years ago. My wife had a perfect pregnancy, no signs of any problems. When he was born, he had he's breathing very fast. He had severe respiratory issues, which resulted him being in hospital for nearly 12 months. And obviously, when he was in hospital, I often sat by his bedside, hoping and praying that one day I'd be able to take him to watch the mighty Spurs, which looked a long way off, I must be honest. He came home after 11 months. He had to endure more operations over the years, but luckily, as he got older, stronger, he got better. He got a lot better, and then about 5 years ago, he was well enough for me to take him to his first game, which he loved, and I obviously loved it that he loved it. And I got a lot of emotional bond taking him, and I just thought I couldn't be the only dad, parent, adult that took a child to football. So I set up Footy with Dad, and within the first week, inundated with other parents, dads sending in photos with their child at various grounds all over the UK. Even had one from America, New York Red Bulls. And I thought, though Jake had done a very long road, there are obviously a lot of underprivileged children that aren't as lucky as Jake. So it'd be great to, set up Footy with Dad with one of our main aims, getting underprivileged children to football. And when we first started, we managed to get a former professional footballer, Dean Holdsworth, as an ambassador, and that's been really good. With a profile, we've been on Sky News, we've been on BBC 5 Live, and we've just been increasing the profile. And with clubs have been donating tickets, which has enabled us to get underprivileged kids to games, which is great. It's great talking to the families before and after, and listening to their experiences. Spurs have been really good. I was about to ask. Spurs have, obviously helps that they're playing at Wembley, still playing at Wembley. But they've donated a lot of tickets last season and this season, and we've got a lot of kids. Not just Spurs. We've taken kids to Middlesbrough, Preston, West Brom, and it means a lot to the families. They've gone through long roads with their kids, and I get a lot out of that. Taking arranging, I should say, underprivileged kids to football. We go as often as we can. We go to every home game. We go to a lot of away games together, and we just love it. We love the bonding. He loves it. He's obsessed with it now.
Jake, do you remember the first game you went to?
Yeah, and this definitely won't be the first time I've mentioned it, but it was back in 2012. And yeah, my first time, again, it was against Stevenage.
Stevenage?
Yeah. I remember we won 3-1.
Well, I thought we'd start off with a nice, easy game.
It better be a win, right?
We'd win, he'd love it. After a minute...
We went 1-0 down.
We went 1-0 down, So things weren't going to plan, but we did come back and we won 3-1 in the end. And our football together, well, that was the beginning, really.
What is it about football that you love so much, Jake? Like, you obviously 5 years ago you went to your first game, and you've been obsessed ever since, as your dad said. But what is it about going to the football and being with all the fans and singing all the songs? What is it you love about it so much?
I don't know what it is. It's just part of the experience, really. I remember my dad asking me years ago if I wanted to go to football, and me saying no, which I definitely regret now. But no, but I just love going to games, especially away games, travelling the country. We've even been to other countries as well. But yeah, just following Spurs for the last couple of years has been amazing.
And so how does it work in terms of, do you have like meetups with other people, with other fathers and their sons and stuff?
Yeah,
or...
when we can, you know, if it's a Spurs match, you know, I like to meet them before the game, give them the tickets, have a little chat with, you know, with their child. We did one for Cardiff, you know, and we had a really brave child who had he had cancer in one eye, and then the treatment, and then he sort of had cancer in the second eye, but the treatment sort of you know, beat the cancer, but has left him obviously partially sighted, and lovely guy. You know, met the dad at the Cardiff game and gave them the tickets, and it was a great experience for them to, you know, just the atmosphere of the day, and I know he loved it. We've organised, you know, we've organised someone to go to the Arsenal. We've done Watford. So, you know, if it's, you know, mainly if it's Spurs, we do meet them, but obviously I can't go to, you know, games up north. But you know, what as well as raising money, we've got on our website footywithdad.com, we've got, you know, a lot of people have donated tickets for matches they can't go to, which is great, and that just now enables us to, you know, speak to local respite centres to see if they've got, you know, families they can, you know, sort of delegate these tickets to. So you know, it's
you've got
really
like a
good
network.
Yeah, and you know, just with social media, you know, I did an interview a few months ago with Matt Letizia, which was great, which really helped our cause.
Really?
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Spent a lot of time, you know, on camera and off camera, and that interview is on our YouTube channel. Met Viv Anderson, you know, though he's obviously an Arsenal legend, he was really nice, gave a lot of time. You know, we've done a story with Peter Reid about his experiences of going to football. And you know what's amazing is these are professional footballers, and they've all played round the world at all the best stadiums. Every single one remembers their first match, you know, as a child, no matter what they've been through, no matter what they've won as a player. You know, Matt Letizia supported Spurs. His first game was, you know, that he remembers was the 81 Cup final at Wembley. And, you know, just listening to them, and, you know, just the way he talked about the experience, he remembers everything as if it was yesterday. And Jake's exactly the same.
What was your first game, Julian?
My first game, God, that I can remember was, I think, the 78-79 season. It was a 1-1 draw with Leeds. You know, yeah, so that was my first game. But
White Hart Lane.
It was at White Hart Lane. But you know, I don't remember too much of the game. But obviously, the 81 Cup final.
Are you there?
I was there. You know, and the replay, I was there. And that really sort of kick-started. You know, following Spurs. My dad followed Spurs.
I was about to say, so did you go with your dad as well?
Yeah, you know, I had a season ticket when I was a child with my brother. So yeah, I got into it, you know, quite an early. Well, I was 10 actually. When I really got into it. Yeah.
Me too. I was about 12 when I got my first game. Was Gary Mabbott's last game for Spurs in like 98 or 99 or something like that. I remember my dad telling me that he would take me, and then I spent like all the game just reading a book or something. I was totally uninterested in the football. Like I was more interested in like reading about Star Wars or something, or like James Bond or so. I wanted to be a secret agent.
So you're lucky. You missed the 90s then.
No, I missed most of the 90s. I got into about 2002.
It's funny because you know,
the early noughties were much better.
You know, the 90s and the noughties, and you know, it was pretty poor. And I had to laugh when Spurs were going for the league, and we drew 1-1 against West Brom.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a fantastic side that year. You know,
When Leicester won, you mean?
when Leicester won it, and I put Jake to bed that night, and he started to cry, and he said to me, "Will it always be this bad?" And I was like, "Jake, it's never been this good," you know. And
You have no idea, Jake.
You've got
You
no
have no
idea
idea.
what I've gone through, and
Oh, man.
you know, he is so fortunate. Not because we go to so many games, but I mean, this year, you know, last year was the first time I took him to Stamford Bridge. You know,
Oh.
and I've never seen us win at Stamford Bridge. You know, over the years. All right, his first time I take him, we win. All right,
He's got to come every time now.
we go to the Emirates. All right, we go to the Emirates. I've been to, you know, I'm not sure I've even seen us score at the Emirates. You know, I take him first visit, we win. Right, in the cup. Right, and you know, I took him. We went to Barcelona. You know, and what an experience that was, you know. And
He seems to be a good luck charm.
yeah, you know,
Have you seen us lose, Jake?
we desperately need tickets for Stamford Bridge for the second.
Yeah, we dealt with someone,
yeah.
please.
So
Someone has to sort
anyone's
us out.
got 2 tickets.
You
for us,
hearing
I'll
this?
come.
and you want Spurs to go to the final? Let We Are Tottenham TV know.
Yeah, let us know, man. We need these tickets. You seem like a good luck charm, but yeah, obviously I go with my grandpa. I used to go with my dad when I was younger. He doesn't. He goes to the occasional game more, but my grandpa's really into it now.
Yeah.
It's funny because my grandpa, he's only into it because of me and my brother. We got him into it as opposed to
Right,
him getting
okay.
us into it. It's kind of opposite because he used to be a massive cricket fan.
Right.
But he wanted to find a way to kind of spend more time with his grandkids. So he thought, I'll go with the football with them. Why not?
Yeah.
It'd be fun. And now he's a hooligan. He has his own chant. And now he's he's at all the games, and he's great. Yeah, I love going with my grandpa. It's one of the, definitely brings us closer together for sure.
Yeah.
And that just having that time together as well, and going through the good times and the bad. It's all of all that together. It's such a good thing.
It's lovely. I mean, you know, we go up and down the motorway together, and you know, just spending that quality time together. You know, it is lovely, and sometimes nice to get out of the home environment, away from the wife and his older brother.
Yeah. What does your mum think? Does your mum like, oh, not the football again, or she's like, yeah, go on, go for it?
I think she's quite pleased to get us out of the house. Yeah.
And your brother, he goes sometimes as well.
Yeah, he prefers to play than watch. He's a bit of a, I don't know if you can call a Tottenham fan a glory hunter, but he tends to like to go to the big games, like
glory
the
nights.
Arsenal or Liverpool. I've taken him to the home Champions League games. So we'll see. You know, as he gets older, you know, he might get more involved in it. But
Okay.
yeah.
Is there like a number of kids you've helped get to football, like a ballpark number, or even like a specific? Do you like keep count of like how many kids you've helped?
We've done about 12 so far.
12, okay.
About a dozen. You know, so
That's good, amazing.
yeah, we've done about 4 of those are about Spurs. 4 or 5 Spurs, and we've got more in the pipeline. Waiting for a few more clubs to donate tickets, and you know, just get the word around. So yeah, you know, we've got more in the pipeline for sure. Just need people to either donate their tickets for matches they can't go to, and you know, we had one Nottingham Forest supporter who when he was a child, he went to Nottingham Forest and the game was postponed, and that was the only game that his father took him to, and he donated the money and to our Just Giving page, and he said, the only thing I would like to do is, can you organise a child to go to a Forest game? So we managed to organise a Nottingham Forest dad to take a son. So, and it's so heartwarming. You know, we you know, one of our first ones, we had a child that went to Watford, and you know, I got a lovely email from the mother and said, you know, the child doesn't talk that much, but hadn't stopped talking all weekend. So, and that just means so much to me, you know, because I get a lot of pleasure, you know, from it, and I know other dads and, you know, parents would as well as you know, because every child should experience going to a live game. You know, I just think, you know, it doesn't, listen, I tell Jake, you know, it doesn't matter. Yes, if we win it, great. But, you know,
It's all about the experience,
you
yeah.
know, I remember I took him we went up by train, and Newcastle had just been relegated, and we needed only a point to finish second.
Oh yeah, man.
What could go wrong? We left home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we came back to King's Cross. It was about 7 o'clock at night, and I said to Jake, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry if you've had a long wasted day." And he turned around to me, and it sums it all up. He goes, "Win, lose or draw, I just love our days together." And you know, that's what it's all about. You know, you know, I just love it, and he loves it as well. And we're playing all right at the moment.
Yeah,
so yeah,
got a good time.
Can't complain.
Well, and how's it at school? Like, you know, do other kids see your videos and stuff, and do they make comments?
Some people in my year do watch our videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your friends watch it. All your friends.
Yeah. For example, I told a few of my friends about tonight, so
okay.
hopefully they've.
Hello, Jake's friends. Hello.
Hopefully they're watching it right now. But
give a few shout outs if you want.
No, but some of them are very supportive about YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah.
Very, very nice. All right, so let's move on to Spurs now. Let's move on to the semi-final first leg. You both there at Wembley?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was a tough one, wasn't it? We kind of just about scraped through. We won ugly, as they say, but it's a sign of a good team when you're not playing well and you're winning.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the second half potentially was going to go the same way as the Wolves game, but you know what? Everyone says, you know, Spurs haven't got the mentality. You know, they play lovely football. You know, they don't win. And when we win ugly, we also get criticised. I thought their mentality. I thought they defended well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think, you know, they could have conceded, but they didn't. Is 1-0 going to be enough? It's going to be difficult. But you know, I've seen it's typical Spurs. You know, I've seen us lose 8 semi-finals, and I've been to most semi-finals, and the one that we actually win, we've still got a second leg at the bridge. It's so Spursy, you know. But it's going to be a tough game there. I feel we're going to have to score at the bridge, but we're more than capable of doing it. You know.
How do you think the game went, Jake? Do you think it was a good result at the end, or do you kind of feel like 1-0's not really enough for the second leg?
Well, it's definitely not enough, but I think at the end of the day, I thought we were quite lucky to get away with that. As he said, we defended very well for about 75 minutes. But yeah, there were definitely a few chances when my heart dropped.
Yeah, Hazard got on the ball.
Yeah.
Right? He was pretty dynamite that game. But to be fair, if you think about the game, Chelsea dominated, right? It's fair to say, and they probably had more of the ball. But how many? Except for maybe when Paolo had to tip that cross onto the post.
And one save in the second half.
Yeah, they didn't really create too much, did they?
No.
So you got to give credit to the defence in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they defended too deep, and we invited the pressure on because we couldn't really get out of our half. But they defended very, very well. You know, and they couldn't break us down. So yeah, full credit for grinding out a 1-0 win.
Yeah. How do you feel the team are doing generally this season? In terms of, do you feel like we have an actual genuine shot of the title?
If I'm honest, no. You know, I'd love. You know, I think we would need, you know, Liverpool or City to really, you know, have a bad blip. Okay, City scraped through last night, but I can't. I can't see them having a blip enough. You know, but you know what?
Though.
I just think, you know, without sounding, you know, defeatist, I think with all the problems that we've had with the stadium, with not signing anyone, and I think for the second year on the trot, if we were to finish top 4, I think that is a hell of an achievement. You know, to do it without playing at home, 2 years on the trot. I mean, Poch is working wonders. on the back of a World Cup, players coming back, and we had a lot of players at the World Cup. I think they're doing phenomenally well. Really do. Sissoko, and I've been quite critical of Sissoko in the past, credit where credit due. He's been one of our best players.
He was again also brilliant on Tuesday.
Brilliant,
wasn't he?
absolutely brilliant. I think Son has come in his own in the last month or so.
It's tough to lose him, isn't it?
It's going to be tough to lose him, because Moura is not quite in Son's class, if I'm being honest. I still worry if Harry were to get a bad injury. But Lamella's now coming back. Obviously, after United, we've got a few, winnable games. And even United is potentially winnable.
It should be. We should definitely be going to that game looking to win.
Yeah.
Right? If I gave you a draw now, you wouldn't take it. That's for sure.
No.
So I think we're probably favourites, and you got to be winning that game. I think everyone would be disappointed if we didn't win that game. I think that's fair to say. What do you think about Sunday?
It's going to be hard. They've won like 4 on the trot now.
Yeah.
But they haven't played great teams. They played Reading in the FA Cup. They played Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, Cardiff. So I think this will be Solskjaer's first test against the top 4 club.
We need to get at their defence, because their defence is shocking.
And in a way, it could kind of play into our favour in the sense that Solskjaer's come in and he's kind of played a more attacking brand of football than under Mourinho. And when teams come at Spurs and try to attack us, that is when we can really tear them apart. I feel that's when we're at our best. When teams sit deep, we tend to struggle a bit more.
My only worry is we had a tough game, obviously, on Tuesday. They've had a week off in Dubai. And there's not a lot, I hear Dyer and Jan trained today. Maybe too soon for Sunday. But, you just wonder, are we going to start tiring in the second half? Because I suspect it'd be a similar team.
And it's kind of, and you think about it, it happened really in our last 3 games, really, against Wolves.
Yeah.
We tied a lot in the second half.
Yeah.
Against Cardiff, we were electric in the first half and tied a bit in the second. And against Chelsea.
Yeah, so that is the worry, whether or not we've got enough off the bench to I feel we need to get off to a flying start against United, like we did last year.
That was a goal after 11 seconds.
So that'd be good to do that again.
What did you guys think of the VAR decision on Tuesday night? In terms of obviously we had to wait a while for the decision. We had to, I think it was a minute or 2 minutes. 2 minutes we had to waiting of anticipation. No one really knew what was going on. I personally didn't know what was happening because the ball came over the top. Initially the linesman didn't put his flag up, then Kane gets fouled, then once he gets fouled the linesman puts his flag up, and then there's a whole kerfuffle where they're checking the offside, then they're checking the penalty. Obviously we end up benefiting, but did you agree with how it was implemented at that point?
It's a very good idea, but I feel like they need to kind of make it quicker, because for 2 minutes the fans don't know what's going on. We saw it in the World Cup. It worked very well, I thought, very quick. I just think they should implement that to the Premier League. Obviously, I believe it's coming in the next few seasons.
I think next season.
Into the Premier League.
Next season.
So, it will definitely be interesting to see what happens next season.
I thought it was quite exciting, the wait for the referee to either point to the spot or point for a goal kick. But I suspect if it didn't go our way, I wouldn't have been very happy. But I think you've got to move with the times. All the other sports have technology. I think Jake's right. It's got to be a bit quicker than nearly 2 minutes.
Do you agree with what Pochettino said after the game about VAR in terms of that maybe at its current state that it's not right it's not usable, because we're not sure when we're using it. That's the problem at the moment. Sometimes we are using it, in some cases we're not, and there's no consistency.
Yeah, I think they've got to decide what they're going to use it for, whether it's just, incidents like, Tuesday night, or is it just, goal line, or, I think they've got to decide, because not all VAR decisions are going to be correct, especially if they use Chelsea's cameraman. He finds all different sort of angles and still going around showing everyone in London this afternoon. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think they've still got to learn how to use it properly.
So kind of Pochettino has a point, do you think?
Yeah, but I think you've got to move with the times, though. I think you've got to have VAR, but I think it's got to be decisions have got to be made a lot quicker. And I think the paying public who are in the stadium need to know what's going on. They need to see the VAR if the ball's crossed the line or not.
Would you like to see like one action replay on the screen or something?
Yeah, like they have in tennis. I think if the ball bounces on the line or past the line, you can see.
I think they would never do that though. They'll never do that at football grounds, just because, for example, if they're checking like a dive or something, and then obviously because it's so hard to tell with sometimes with these kind of things.
Yeah, like
if
Pedro Mendes' goal,
Yeah, it was really hard to tell. Yeah, Plattenberg. But for example, when you've got a decision which is really like 50-50, like if a player got touched or a little nick on a player and they're reviewing it on VAR, and then say some fans might think it's a dive, and then they're showing it on the screen, and he gives a penalty. So some fans might think he's giving a penalty.
No, I think on the screen they should only show if the ball's crossed the line or
goal
not.
line, goal line. All for that, they don't even need VAR for that, do they? They've got the technology.
The goal line technology, yeah,
it's pretty instant.
Yeah, unless in Liverpool's case the grass is too long.
Yeah. Oh, Liverpool. Oh, they signed a petition for that, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Paulo had a good game, didn't he? Pochettino gave him his man of the match. He's now on a winning streak. I think 9 games. I think he's won all 9 of his starts for Spurs.
Unbelievable. And I actually listen. Hugo is still a great keeper, but he's made some bad mistakes. I'm very happy for when he's ready to be on number 1 in the next year or two.
You think so? You think Paulo is going to be on number 1 at some point?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's got the potential. I think his distribution. He seems very. He started off a bit nervous against Chelsea, I thought, but I think generally his distribution is better than Hugo's. I don't see why not. I mean, listen, Hugo's still a great keeper, I really like him as a keeper.
I feel like he does the simple stuff really, really well.
Yeah.
Gazza, he very rarely spills anything.
No.
He's very good at holding on to shots. Very good at coming for crosses, and he's got more of a presence, I feel, than Hugo in that sense.
And he made some, even against Arsenal, when needed, he made a great save. So, I think it was from Ramsey. And again on Tuesday night, he made, the save tipping onto the bar on the stroke of half time. I'm not sure he got the credit he deserved for that.
That was a phenomenal save.
That was really. Great keeper. Great keeper.
And in terms of Moussa Sissoko's renaissance, again, as you were mentioning before, he had a great game on Tuesday night. Do you feel like he is our number 1 centre mid at the moment?
Yeah, I think we've been a bit short with centre mids because obviously Dyer has been out, and Dembele, who looks like he's off, but he's been injured anyway for the whole season. A fit Dembele is brilliant. Just no one can get the ball off him. But we've been a bit short. Ali's had a few injuries as well this season, so he's been really important. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and credit for Poch for persevering, and he's come good. He has come good.
Do you think he's our number 1 at the moment, Sissoko? Is he in terms of when you look at our centre mid options? Do you think he has to play now?
He looks very confident in the middle. For me, the only thing he's lacking right now is a goal. I think if he gets a goal, I think that will.
No, don't let him shoot. He's fine doing what he does. Let him run, tackle. He doesn't need to shoot.
No, but he's very good at the simple stuff, just passing it out wide. I think he's very good in the middle. Very technical player as well, I think.
Do you reckon Vincent Janssen's maybe worth another go now? We'll see what he did with Sissoko. If no one thought Poch could do what he did and what he's done with Sissoko, and Janssen's now fit again. And if
he
Llorente
played
leaves,
45 minutes the other night, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He said he's fitter than ever now, Janssen. That's what he's saying.
Listen,
Still at the club somehow.
If we're not going to spend any money, why not? Listen, Llorente hasn't really let us down when he's come on. I know it was only Tranmere, but I don't think we've played to his strengths all the time. The game against Madrid, when I think that was the only time before a couple of games ago that he's played Kane and Llorente together, and they played really well that night. And he helped get the late goal against Burnley with a flick on.
PSV he did very well as well.
And PSV he did well. There's no point letting Llorente go if we're not going to replace him. And I think he does have a purpose. If we need a goal, yes, we played the long ball in the last 10 minutes or so. It's not the end of the world.
I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes.
No,
Llorente,
and also he doesn't complain. He's never moaned. He's obviously bought in to the Poch philosophy, and he hasn't moaned. And he's obviously frustrated he doesn't start more. But
I can see him leaving in January though. I feel like there's rumours that his old club Bilbao.
Yeah.
Bilbao want him.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be guaranteed game time, I wouldn't begrudge him for leaving. He is 33, 34 now. It would be a shame though. I feel because I feel like we didn't get we didn't see the best of Llorente while he was here, even only in flashes, and we could have.
No, and even when he has played, he's looked good. We haven't always played to his strengths, which
that's one big point I agree with.
I remember a few games he came on as a late sub, and we didn't get the ball up to him. Still playing on the ground. That's not his game. But if he goes, I think we do need to replace.
What do you think? Would you think?
But it's difficult.
I don't know. Or do you think? I can't because we don't really sign, do we?
No.
We don't really do signings.
No, we don't do signings. But who knows? Poch will probably put Sissoko up front.
Well, who knows? He might turn into a world class.
Yeah.
What's your guys' opinion on? Well, obviously, on Dembele, who's we've accepted a bid reportedly for about £10 million from China, from a club in China for Moussa Dembele. He only has 6 months left on his contract. He was going to go on a free in summer if we didn't accept the offer. He's currently injured. I think he's actually come back from injury now. He hasn't officially left the club yet, but do you think Spurs are doing the right thing accepting the offer, or do you think we should have fought harder to keep him?
I mean, he did well when he played. Obviously, he's injured now. He will be a big miss, especially when he was injured out long term. But personally, I don't think we've missed him as much as I thought a lot of our fans would. I mean, we've got some good creativity in the middle with the likes of Ali and Eriksen. He will be missed, but it's not the end of the world to see him leave.
But you wouldn't have said that maybe at the beginning of the season. You wouldn't have said, Dembele leaving in January for 10 million would be okay. We wouldn't miss him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a great player. I think he will be missed. But he's out of contract. We'll get nothing for him in the summer. I think he wanted a longer contract than what Spurs were prepared to offer. He does get injuries. So I can see it from both sides, really. I think he will be missed.
If you were Pochettino, would you have said to Levy, listen, we need to do whatever you can to keep getting signed another deal? Or would you say, okay, if you give me some money and if we can sign someone, then maybe it's worth letting him go?
I mean, I heard he wanted a 3-year deal and we only offered him a 2. I would probably have given him a 3.
You would have given him the 3?
Yeah, because, we haven't got the money to replace him. And, to replace that quality is going to cost at least 20-30 million. We haven't got 20 or 30 million.
Probably more in this day and age.
Yeah, and but listen, we can't really argue. We've done very well without him this year. Listen, Levy won't let him go for free in the summer, so we'll get the money and hopefully invest it this January as well.
Where does he rank for you in terms of all time, like Spurs centre mids, Dembele? Would he rank quite high for you, or do you think he's Or do you think that we've had like many better players, like people? Like, how do you compare to people like Glenn Hoddle and people like that who used to play in the centre? Like,
doesn't compare to Glenn Hoddle. No. You know, I mean, I watched Spurs during the 80s and 90s. I would put Hoddle above him. I put Waddle above him. I put Ardiles above him. Modric above him. Eriksen above him. I'd probably put him in potentially the top 10.
Top 10
ish. Yeah. Okay. But listen, if he had goals to his game, he'd be brilliant.
That's what everyone says. Yeah.
You know, he's dribbling. You can't get the ball off him. He does sometimes slow up play, I feel, you know, by going side to side, trying to shake off the opposition. He's shooting, you know, his goal tally
is woeful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is. I don't know if his shooting is the problem. I just think he doesn't shoot enough.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like he gets in those positions, he decides to pass instead of shoot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which is a big shame. But he's going to be a big miss. But I feel like we really saw the best of him once Pochettino came in. He was kind of struggling a bit, I felt, until Poch came and he really developed him into a proper world-class centre midfielder.
Yeah.
But it's a shame that he's. Yeah, I think injuries more than anything. If he would have stayed fit for the first 6 months of the season, then maybe you could have said, all right, we'll give him another contract. Yeah. He's proved it. But again, he got injured for a long time.
Yeah, you can see both sides of the argument. It is a shame because he, you know, on his day, he is, you know, unplayable. I think it was against Madrid at Wembley last year. Fantastic night.
Do you think we'll replace him in this window?
We should, but we wouldn't.
Yeah, we won't.
We won't. But I mean, our midfield's very strong at the moment. But personally, I don't think we'll buy anyone in January. But still dream.
He seems so resigned there.
I think you know, every Spurs fan is probably more concerned about tying down Eriksen. You know, I think that's the big one.
He's got 18 months left on his contract now.
And
it was encouraging the quotes.
It was.
A few days ago.
Yeah. I personally think Madrid have got a choice to who to go for, Hazard or Eriksen, and I'm hoping they go for Hazard.
Yeah,
you know, and he is probably a slightly better player than Eriksen, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, he's definitely better.
You know,
definitely go.
So better value for money.
Yeah.
But then I read Levy valued him at 225 million. So
who, Eriksen?
Yeah.
Well, they thought the year left.
Yeah.
On his contract.
So looks like he's staying.
Go on, Daniel. If he's going to play hardball, at least he better not let Eriksen slip through the cracks. I mean, it's another one I can kind of see from both sides, but more in terms of the player and the club, because obviously the club will probably try to do everything to keep him. The fact of the matter is, though, he has been at Spurs for 6 years now. He hasn't won anything, and he is only on £70,000 a week, which is a joke.
Yeah,
much.
Yeah,
it
is a joke.
So I can really see, like, even if we were to double his wages, that's still like half what he could get.
Yeah.
Or other clubs, like especially Madrid. So I can really see him. I don't really see all the logic points to him wanting to leave or going to a club like Madrid or Barca, because he's good enough for them, and he is good enough. He'll get the money there, and you can win more trophies. However, if the only thing I'm hoping for is maybe this season we can get a trophy over the line, maybe put him on pay parity with Kane, and I can convince him to stay, because I think he is happy here. I think he's happy with the squad and everything.
He seems happy enough, but, you know, until they sign, you just never know, do you? You just never know.
And if we lose him and Toby as well, is rumoured to be leaving, obviously he signed a contract extension which opens the door for his release clause to be activated in the sum of 25 million. And we lose Dembele in this January, it looks like it's going to happen. How much reinvesting do we need if we were to lose them three? A hell of a lot.
Yeah.
You
know, they are all three big players, and it's a worry. I mean, you know, Toby, you know, Fulford's done very well when he's come in. You know, Sanchez, Jan's been brilliant. Yeah, I mean, Toby, I think, is off.
You think so in summer?
Yeah, I think he'll be off. I think if he was going to sign, he would have done so by now. I think, but you know, who knows? Daniel may give in and give him what he wants, but I don't think it would have got to this stage if he was going to stay on. Eriksen, I'm hopefully a bit more hopeful.
Do you think Toby deserves it? A pay rise, like a big pay rise? If he's asking for parity of a player like Kane, do you think he deserves it?
I mean, if we have the money to, I'm not sure personally. I think he will go as well. Whether it's, I can't see him going January, but I definitely feel like if we have the wages to put him on, then I feel like we might as well do it. And then
surely it's even as a business decision, replacing a player of Toby's quality, you're either you're not going to get someone as good as him, or you're going to have to pay through the nose for it. And if we're only getting 25 million for him, who can we get for that kind of money? Who can replace someone like Toby? No,
you can't. You know,
and especially the wages.
Listen, Van Dijk went for 75, and you know, Toby. If Toby didn't have a year's left, okay, he's a bit older than Van Dijk, fair enough. But yeah, listen, all fans are going to say pay him whatever he wants. You know, the club's not run like that, unfortunately. But listen, you know, life goes on if he goes. I'm more worried about Eriksen leaving than Toby, because I think we've got other players at the club, a centre back that, you know, but he's a great defender. I think he's our best centre back.
It's just a bit of pill to swallow if you're losing Dembele and Toby for 35 million in total. Yeah. Two players of that quality, if they had longer on their contracts, would be going for a lot more than that. Yeah. It's just a shame. It is a shame, but especially for a team that doesn't sign anyone, needs the money, and we're getting so little for our two, like, essentially star players. Hopefully,
frustrating.
It is frustrating, but maybe, you know, circumstances can change from now to the end of the season. I wouldn't necessarily be resigned to losing Toby and Eriksen just yet.
Listen, maybe their dream is to play in the new stadium, and we'll delay it by another year, and you know, they'll sign a new contract on the back of that.
Talking about the new stadium, was confirmed just after the Chelsea win. Again, another calculated announcement from Spurs that we will be at Wembley until at least March. I believe that was the news, wasn't it? I think especially for the Dortmund game, we're going to be at Wembley. In your opinion, are we going to be in there this season?
You go first.
I think we will. Whether it's March, April, whenever.
Really, even if it's April, you think we'll be in there?
I don't think, but the thing I've been thinking about a while is, do you think it will be like the best thing for the team? Obviously, playing in two different home venues in a season, it could mess up something at the club. Obviously, right now we're playing very well, but I think the players, especially Danny Rose, is what he mentioned a couple of weeks ago. The players as well really want to move into the new stadium. But whenever it is, as I said, maybe March time, hopefully we can play a couple of games this season. And I know it was announced that maybe Crystal Palace might be the first game, which isn't bad.
Yeah, they didn't say that with any sort of real confidence. I don't know. The problem is, come end of March, we're only going to have sort of 5, maybe 6 home games left. And you do worry that if we are going for the title, or even battling for the top 4, you don't want to draw a few games whilst they're getting used to it. But what I will say, Jake and I went to the fan familiarisation.
Oh, you were there, were you?
Yeah. I saw your brother there.
Oh, you saw my brother there, okay.
You were there. And what is really strange is, apart from feeling and looking amazing, it feels like White Hart Lane. You know, it doesn't feel like a totally different environment. And I don't think, because they've had to play at Wembley and they played one game at MK Dons, I don't think it will take the team that long to readjust.
I agree with you.
You know, and I think it could give us real momentum. You know, what I hope is, you know, the last game of the season, we're at home to Everton, be the first game in the season, first game in the stadium. We're playing Everton. We need it to win the league, right? They won't want Liverpool to win the league. What a finish!
Now that's a pretty romantic.
Yeah, it won't happen. But
I think people are saying that it could impact us negatively if we were to move in. At some point in this season because of the momentum we've built at Wembley, but I disagree. I think it would give us, I think, a shot in the arm. I think of adrenaline. Of being in that stadium.
We've been waiting.
Exactly, waiting for so long. I think we're all just desperate to be home. It's like, being back home in your familiar surroundings. You saw how we were in the last season of White Hart Lane. How we fought. Yeah. The team fought to really protect our home ground, our home stadium, and how we were playing there. We were irresistible in our last season of White Hart Lane, and I think we could have a similar impact now if we were to move in. But I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it this season. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's worth it. If not, just cut our loss and say next season we're going to be in there, because at the moment it's just. We're just getting drips and drabs of these delays and more delays, and everyone's getting their hopes up, and then they're getting them shot down again and again and again. Are we just going to get our hopes shot down again, like in March?
It's disappointing. You know, it will be worth it and all that. You know, don't get me wrong. I don't know. I mean, there's arguments to let's just finish the season at Wembley. I think the club will have different ideas because obviously each game is costing the club to play at Wembley. I'm sure they want to get back to White Hart Lane as quickly as possible.
Do you think it's a coincidence of that? Every time we have a big win, they seem to announce a delay the next day.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, exactly. You're not the only one to think that. All right, we have a question here from a comment from Aaron Kaplan. He's asked you guys. He goes, What do you guys think of the word "yid" coming from a Jewish Spurs fan? Also, great podcast and keep up the good work. Thanks, Aaron. Obviously, you two guys are Jewish. Do you have any strong opinions on how the Y word is used around Spurs?
I can see both sides of the argument, if I'm being honest. In an ideal world,
you're very good at seeing both sides of the argument.
Yeah. I personally, I'm not offended by it. I think it's all about context. You know, saying it in a loving way against singing it in a hatred way and a discriminating way are two totally different things. And I think, Spurs fans stop singing it, it won't stop the Chelsea or West Ham or certain parts of Arsenal or other clubs. And it's really only against mainly Chelsea, let's be honest, and a bit of West Ham that can't cope with it. I think the authorities need to look at them more strongly. It's only become more and more because they've become more and more racial about it. And I suppose the more they do it, the more we do it. In an ideal world, probably we shouldn't do it. But I've got no problem with it. I know a lot of fellow Jewish Spurs fans don't as well, but I understand, people that do.
Do you know any Jewish Spurs fans who do have a problem with it?
One or two.
One or two.
One or two. It is the minority. The problem is the authorities for years did nothing about it when, the gas chamber noises and what have you. And so, the best form of defence is attack, and that's why we go out all out, to sing it whenever we can. And the song, they try to stop us, because we had no help from the authorities, and now there is racism. They're saying, hold on, you should stop it. And they should really look at the people who are being the racist and what context they're saying it, and clamp down on those. I can't see how they can stop it, but I do understand, if people do feel offended by it. I'm not, and I know a lot of Jewish, fellow supporters aren't either. So
as a young Spurs fan, Jake, like obviously growing up, do you feel like that word is part of the Spurs identity? Do you feel like when you're going to games, do you feel proud to sing it when you're singing it?
I mean, I love singing it. I mean, obviously, I'm young, so I don't know like the whole story behind it. But for me, Spurs are known as like the Yids. But yeah, I don't know much about it really. Obviously, he knows much more than I do.
I think in an ideal world, it probably shouldn't be sung. But I think it's got to the stage where it will be because of certain people still doing the gas chamber noises, and that's all we can do is signify that this is who we are, and this is what we're about.
Do you think it's part of identity as much as Arsenal are the Gunners or United are the Red Devils? Do you think it's as much identity as that?
Yeah, right or wrong, it is. And that's the fact of it. It's got to the stage where it hasn't been clamped down. And I don't see, they're proud of it. I appreciate a lot of people that sing it aren't Jewish, but I think it's become a symbol of the club, and they stand by it. And I personally don't see, I think if you can't see the difference between singing it in a loving way and singing it in a hatred way, you've got to deal with that. There are two totally different sides of the story.
Yeah, because it's come up in the news again recently, hasn't it? About who was it? I can't remember who it was.
The Board of Deputies.
Someone came out and said that Levy should really come out and tell Spurs fans to stop singing the word, and it was very public. And obviously there you had the whole David Baddiel. He had a what do you call it? A campaign. That's what that's the word I'm looking for. To try and get Spurs fans to stop saying the Y word. Do you think that's just a misunderstanding of how Spurs use it, or do you think it's something like more nefarious than that?
I just think Tottenham fans do it, not to antagonise racism. I think they do it out of pride. There's no getting away from a large, majority of our fan base. We do have Jewish following, and there's no getting away from that. And we do have, I've been to Spurs, I've been to Chelsea, I've been to West Ham, and I've heard the anti-Semitic, and I think it's to say they'll stop it if we stop it.
When it only started because they started it, so now we're responding.
Yeah, and I personally can see both sides of the argument, but I'm not offended by it.
Okay. What was I going to say? All right. Let's read a few more comments now. This guy from Jeff Kuhane, he says, I'm an outsider from the US and I'm not Jewish, but it's part of the identity of Spurs. When I decided to support them, I learned the history and I proudly sing it. Yeah, and it's not really a problem even if non-Jewish fans sing it, is it?
No.
It's how it is. And I was reading an article in the Times actually the other day. I can't remember who wrote it. I was a Jewish journalist who was writing about why it's okay for Spurs fans to sing the Yid basically at Spurs. It's because he has a lot of Chelsea friends who were like Jewish, and he said they as Spurs fans, we don't know what it's like to have fans next to you literally singing about how they want you to die, essentially. We don't know how that feels, and we're actually singing it in a way to protect those fans and like become part, as in we're not offended, because it was used as an insult against Spurs fans to insult Spurs, because apparently it's an insult to have Jewish fans, and we turned around and said not only are we not, is it not an insult, we're going to adopt that identity as ours because we're so proud of that support.
No, that's a fair comment.
And so I think this whole campaign to try and get Spurs to stop saying the word is ridiculous. And I think
it's naive to think that the roots of the problem, and I think
it just winds me up. It winds me up that when I hear people on the radio thinking like, because they're on TalkSport, they're having a dig at Spurs fans, saying how they don't know what they're doing, saying that word, and how they look down on Spurs fans for saying it, like as if we're making a mockery of the word or something, or playing it down. But it's just nothing like that at all, and it's frustrating when I hear arguments from other people who aren't Spurs fans, especially, trying to tell us what we can and can't say, how we can use our terms when we're not using it in a racial way whatsoever, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think if the club had a big issue with it, they would have, they're not afraid to clamp down on certain things.
So they tried to, didn't they? They tried to ban it, but once they started banning a few. Once they started finding a few fans, it all got up down, because you can't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're finding everyone. Okay. And let's go to a question. This is from Jenk at Forziids. Who do you think should be loaned or sold from our current squad, and what type of player should we realistically bring in? If you go just for January, I guess, would you sell? Is there anyone you'd be except for Dembele, obviously he's going. Is there anyone you'd want to get rid of in January? Maybe in Footy or something?
Not really. I mean, I believe he's just come back from, a loan in Kudu, but personally I don't think we should sell anyone because it looks very unlikely that we're going to buy anyone. So, I mean, there's no one really...
Who would you buy if Levy said we could have one signing? In what position would you buy?
Maybe a fullback. I mean, Rose and Trippier are very good, but I feel like if we want to start winning trophies, we need someone that has history and that has won trophies. I mean, we see for Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk, he hasn't won anything yet, but it looks like he's going to go on and maybe win the league with Liverpool. But for Liverpool, he's such a commanding defender. He commands their whole back line, really, Liverpool. And without Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool are definitely a weak spot at the back, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think if we were to bring in one player, would you agree it would be a fullback, Julian?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think we could upgrade our fullbacks. I think if Dembele goes, we've got Winks as well. I think potentially we need a holding midfielder.
Do you think we've seen the last of Wanyama? He's been out for a while now, hasn't he? He's been good 18 months. He's been in and out with injuries, and
I think if he doesn't
really
play,
the same even when he does play.
No, I think if he doesn't really play the second part of the season, I can see him going, next summer. I mean, he could possibly go this summer, but I think to let him go and Dembele, we'd need a replacement this summer. I mean, I would love Zaha from Palace.
Louis Zaha,
yeah.
Not Louis Zaha from the former Spurs player.
Yeah. We'll probably get Louis Zaha. I just think, I think it all depends on Eriksen, what's going to happen with him. I can't see us making any huge buys this January. I think I think Zaha would definitely add pace to our attack, which sometimes I think is a bit sluggish, and I think he would bring the ball from the middle to up front, right? Much quicker. Listen, we've had the problem for a few years. What decent striker is going to come to Spurs and sit on the bench?
Yeah.
So you need someone who can play either up front when Kane's not around, which Zaha can, or when Kane is playing, he can play, on the wing, which obviously Zaha can as well.
I got a question on Instagram now from Mary Hillboys 1876. What is your favourite Tottenham moment? I guess either being there or not being there. Both, maybe.
Well, for me, pretty recent Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was. I mean, unfortunately, I've never had the experience, but for me, it's like winning a trophy. It was just amazing to witness it as well. And I always think that, I mean, I'm only 13, and I just think that, like, I'm so lucky to have witnessed Spurs get a result in Madrid and Barca. Hopefully many more to come, but Barcelona was definitely an outstanding moment for me.
How about you, Julian?
I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure you could pick a few.
yeah, I mean, Barcelona, you know, to be there with Jake and celebrating in the stands, you know, not just on the final whistle, because that was a bit low-key because we were still waiting for the Milan score, but like a minute later, the scenes were just unbelievable. And to be there, well, you know, I'll admit, it was an emotional moment, you know, just embracing Jake. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, winning the FA Cup and UEFA Cup in the 80s was great moments, you know.
Yeah, the FA Cup game at White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
That must have been special, though. That penalty shootout.
You know, that was amazing. Ricky Villa's goal was amazing.
Yeah.
Beating the Arsenal 3-1 with Gascoigne.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there in 91. You know, yeah, just, you know,
I wonder what watching that goal was like without watching the iconic commentary that came before.
Yeah.
Which is the only way I can see that goal.
Yeah, that was a great moment. I mean, Nilsson's last minute winner
in the League Cup
against Leicester was great. You know, the winner against Chelsea, Woodgate's header.
One I've finally been at that you've been at. I was there.
You know,
that was quite a day.
You know, I mean, we went to Everton just before Christmas. You know, I've never been to Goodison Park. Obviously, Jake hasn't. And again, his first visit, you know, you see 6 goals. So, you know, that was pretty...
But it's funny, all the moments you said were all, except for Jake's moment, were trophy winning, were trophy moments.
Yeah.
Moments of lifting a cup.
You know.
And obviously we haven't had that. There's a whole debate of...
I mean, beating Real Madrid last year, because I took both my sons and I took my dad as well. That was great, you know, because beating the current Champions League winners, you know, at Wembley Stadium, National Stadium, and being there with my dad, who, you know, got me into football, and being there with my 2 boys, yeah, that was a pretty special night as well.
That's pretty good. But do you think the trophy debate is... how desperate are you guys for a trophy?
Listen, yeah, I'm desperate for a trophy.
Would you take, say, this season winning the League Cup and the FA Cup and finishing 5th?
Yes. Yeah. For me...
You take that, yeah?
Yes.
You'd the Champions League.
For me, the one thing I've always wanted to see supporting Spurs is just to see us win a trophy. Whatever trophy it is, yes, if we win it, I'm sure there'll be Arsenal fans saying, oh, it's the worst cup, it's a Tin Pot Cup. But I've never experienced my club win a trophy. I don't know how it feels. I mean, there are some annoying Arsenal fans.
Some.
Keep on going on about it. But Carabao Cup were playing well. 1-0's a dangerous scoreline to go to Stamford Bridge.
You've got a song about that, haven't you?
I made up a song today with my fellow friend, who's also a Spurs fan. Shall I sing it?
Yeah, go for it.
We've conquered all of London, we're never gonna stop. From Arsenal down to Chelsea, we've beat the bloody lot. Thanks to Pochettino and Gazzaniga too. We're the famous Tottenham, and we're going through and through.
Yeah. We're going to get that started.
Yeah.
It's going to go viral, that.
It's going to go viral.
Man United on Sunday, I want to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get it trending. Yeah, would you agree with that, Julian? If you would take an FA Cup if it meant dropping out the top 4?
Listen, I love being in the Champions League because for so many years we weren't in it and the other lot were. But you know what? Football is about glory, you know, and, you know, I would love to win a trophy, and yes, you know, part of me would take winning silverware over a top 4 finish. Do
you feel like though if that were to become acceptable, would kind of be trading short-term success for the long term? Like, it would kind of be a trade-off, because I think being a stable club in the Champions League is where this club is is trying to get to.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we're stable in that top form. We don't really drop out, and that's the kind of caliber player we're attracting. And if we were to drop out, even if it was for the expense of a League Cup or FA Cup, I'm not 100% sure it'd be worth it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not sure.
I mean it's difficult because I grew up during the 80s, and and winning the FA Cup meant so much. I accept it doesn't mean as much now, but from a selfish point of view, an emotional point of view, I can't wait to see us lift silverware with Jake. It'll be a magic moment, but it's not. Pochettino doesn't think it's the be all end all. He's made that quite clear with comments he's made. And even past team selections in the cup have been disappointing. Listen, the club will say probably getting in the top 4 is more important, and I think Pochettino probably is right. He could have won in the FA Cup, but if he kept finishing 5th, he probably would have been sacked. So he's probably not wrong. But that's just the way football has gone. It's all about money, and unfortunately, it's about money over glory. But as fans, I want to see them lift silverware. But short term, one trophy. Yes, I probably would accept falling out the top 4. But then I'd want top 4 the year after.
We are good enough to get both, though, probably, aren't we?
Yeah, I think Listen, we've still got quite a few games to win before we, qualify top 4. But, I just worry without buying anyone in the summer with the long World Cup. We've seen it in recent games. Players are tiring in the second half. I just hope that doesn't catch up with us as the season goes on. Tired legs.
Yeah, I think a big problem with that, though, is just because we have so many injuries at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure is being put on players like Winks and Sissoko. And even like Lamella's been injured, so most of our front 4's been playing most of the time. So I think just because of that, no, apparently it's harder to hear me. Apparently, because the lack of depth in our squad, that's why I've been kind of struggling. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, listen, our first 11 is quality. But
I think even our squad's even quality. If our squad is quality, if we have no injuries.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're always so
we've had a lot of injuries. We've had so many injuries, and that's why what we're doing this year is so impressive on the injury front, and still competing in the top 4 and competing well in the top 4. If they can, I was hoping if they could get the stadium ready for January, even early February, that would give us real momentum to definitely clinch top 4.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going well in the league, and hopefully we'll get top 4 and win a cup.
That'd be a good season, wouldn't it? Where does Pochettino rank for you in terms of managers you've seen at White Hart Lane or at Spurs?
I mean, my first real manager was Keith Birkinshaw, and obviously he did great in the early 80s.
Yeah, we did an interview with him. Keith Birkinshaw,
great interview. But I think since him, Poch is right up there. He brings on the youth. He hasn't got the funds of Chelsea, Man City, or Liverpool, or even Arsenal. And I know Arsenal fans complain they haven't got the money, but their strike force, they spent 50 million each on both strikers. Their wage bill is ridiculous. It's over 2 million a week, that their wage bill.
Really?
I heard that driving here on TalkSport, so you don't.
Yeah, it's reliable.
Yeah, but well, if Ozil's on 300, they've got a lot of average players on 100 grand a week. I hear 150, so it could be well over 2 million a week on wages, which is probably why they aren't spending quite what they probably should be. But I'm not worried about that lot. I'm only worried about what we do, and hopefully the season will keep on progressing.
Jake probably doesn't know the trials and tribulations we used to have with Arsenal fans back in the day. He's got it all right at the moment.
Yeah.
He's been finishing above the Arsenal for 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
you don't even remember the Invincibles, probably. Oh man, that was unbearable. But how is it with you? How is it with you and Arsenal fans at school? You got the upper hand at the moment?
Yeah. They're still going on about that 4-2 win.
Yeah, of course they are.
I completely forgot they won the league. Yeah, but when we do well, they never seem to mention it. When they do well, they're always the first one to hop on it, I
They're
guess.
always chiming up, aren't they? All of a sudden, you just see them all over social media, all of a sudden after a win. But haven't seen them too much recently.
No.
You're all right. But me and your dad, we went through a lot harder times, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? How many years in a row that you finished above us? That was tough. That was tough. But it's all right now.
It was Tottenham's Day,
Same,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
you did. Same Tottenham's Day.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we just have to wait because Jay's gone out for a minute, but we have run out of time. I'll ask one more question. Let's go to the questions. Let's see. Okay, there's a question here from Darren 1882, Silver Spurs. He says, "Can we stop all the Daniel Levy negative stuff with the stadium delays and just appreciate Mace and other contractors who have been put in a very difficult place?" Discuss. Do you think people are getting on Levy's back a bit too much, or do you think do you think there are fair criticisms as well?
Listen, we're going to be there for years and years and years, so the delay has been frustrating, but ultimately it is what it is. We're going to have a fantastic stadium. Yes, it could have been handled maybe a little bit better, but it is what it is. These things do take time. We're playing at the National Stadium. There's worse places to play your football home matches.
It's not the same though, is it? As well?
It's not the same.
It's just not. It doesn't can't generate it.
Yeah, and as easy as it is for me to get to Wembley, I can't wait to get back to Tottenham, sitting in the traffic, driving there and back. But listen, it costs a fortune, the stadium. We're going to be very lucky fans to be watching our football there. Hopefully Champions League winners one day.
But do you think he has any criticisms rightly levelled against him, Levy, in terms of how the stadium, coupled with how he's managed the transfer market over these past couple of years, has left a lot to be desired, some would say? Listen,
it's frustrating we're not spending more money, but you can only spend what you have. And I think until the stadium has been paid for and the revenue is coming in from that, we're not going to be stopped to compete against the big boys. But listen, we're already competing with them with no money. Imagine what we're going to be doing when we have money.
Yeah, on the flip side, we have improved, haven't we, as a team over the past few years?
It's
even without spending the money.
It's fantastic. We're playing great football. Jake doesn't. Well, I think he does know how lucky he is, compared to what I used to put up with.
Do you know who Gary Doherty is, Jake?
It's just, it's a great time to be supporting Spurs. That there's a lot of Spurs fans who maybe didn't go through the bad times, are probably more frustrated and want Levy to spend 100 million on the player and what have you. And in an ideal world, yeah, obviously, but we're not that club. If you want to be that, if you want to support that sort of club, support Chelsea or City. We are what we are. We're building the club the right way, deep foundations, and you know what? When we win something, it will mean more to our supporters and more to the players than it does, for other clubs. That's for sure.
Okay. And what do you think of our chances in the second half of the season in terms of, obviously we're still in every competition. Hopefully we're going to be in a final, crossing our fingers. How far can you see us going in the Champions League and the league? And can you? It's tough to see where we're going to end up this season, just because we're still there. But it's a weird one because we're still there. We're fighting on every front. We're actually in a good position in every competition. Yet because we haven't won a trophy, it's so hard to be so confident that we're going to come away with the trophy at the end of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first trophy is going to be the hardest because there's so much pressure on the players to win that trophy. You know, Champions League, who knows? Tough draw, but winnable potentially. You know,
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting tie, isn't it?
yeah, it's going to be a great tie. Both legs. But if we get through that, the chances are the next round could be at White Hart Lane. And as we saw last year with Liverpool, momentum is everything, and you got a home crowd behind you. Who knows? You know, so listen, we went to Barcelona and got a result. You know, nothing's out of the question.
Barca, Madrid, and Juventus.
Yeah.
We've gone to all those grounds and got results.
You know, and you know, we just got to keep on, you know, keep on going for it.
Exciting though, isn't it?
Listen,
very exciting.
you know, listen, our season used to finish in January, February, so Wolves and Spurs.
Now it's just the Arsenal.
You know, and you know, it's great that we've got so much to look forward to. You know, the Carabao Cup's going to be difficult because if we manage to pull it off at the Bridge, it looks like we've got Man City in the final.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? We've never lost against City in the final at Wembley. So,
there you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, cheers for coming on, lads. Absolute pleasure having you guys on. Cheers. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you? Go on your social media accounts.
Yeah, we've got our own website, www.footywiththat.com. We're on Twitter. You can watch our match day vlogs on our YouTube channel, Footy with Dad. We're also on Facebook and Instagram.
There you go. Everyone, guys, go follow them. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks to all your likes, subscribe for all your comments, all your questions. Cheers, guys, for coming. Absolute pleasure having you guys on the podcast. And as always, come on, you Spurs!